So it's how do I prepare men to be whole, to be emotionally intelligent, to be wise, to be strong, to be stable in many different ways, that when they actually get into a marriage, that they are as whole as can be. And that in and of itself is a field in itself. And I have an acronym ARC, ARK, the process in which I actually work with men, and it works with married men as well, but particularly with singles, because there's a huge need for it. And I'll share some more information if you like, in that regard.
Yeah, please keep going. I'm loving this.
Sure. So this swiping right and swiping left. So it's somehow, if you swipe right and you come across someone and in your eyes this person seems to be okayish, it's almost like, in a few seconds you're able to determine that this person could be your future spouse. And it's not as easy as that. It's not as simple as that. This swiping culture has taken over left, right, and it becomes almost like everything's detached. Like the feelings are detached. You don't know the person, and you're making this judgment within milliseconds. And the thing is that I think this culture has taken over. It's prevalent, and I think it's taken over whereby I'm finding myself that some young men have been looking for years. I've been looking for years and they're still not happy. And some of it's down to do with their own limitations, their own weaknesses in terms of their personal development. Expectations are too high, right? They're not fully developed in terms of their financial capacity, their emotional capacity, their intellectual capacity. I say they still have that mummy's boy syndrome as well, right? So they're not really being independent as such. For me, the first thing, and the A stands for accept. Accept your own flaws, accept your own weaknesses, accept where you need to do the work. You can't just walk in or jump into, a relationship, a marriage, and expect things to kind of just be like, like a wonderful experience to you when you have no idea of who you are first and foremost. So it's really important and imperative that we really dig deep and really get to know who we are first. And this is not just something I've come up with. This acronym is my own. And the reason I've come up with this is because it's exactly what I went through post my divorce. So the first thing I had to do was accept some home truths, to be honest with you. My own flaws, my own weaknesses, my own, not only weaknesses, I think my own denial of those weaknesses as well. So we really have to get to a point within ourselves to accept the bitter pill that's just to swallow. That I'm not really great at communication. I'm not really great at holding my temper, and so on and so forth. So the first thing was for me is to look within myself to accept. Second, the R stands for raise. So raise your vibrational energy. I know we talk about this energy, and it can mean a different thing for different people. But what it means is you now have to do the work. Do the work that needs to be done. Sometimes it's something you can do yourself. Sometimes it needs someone else. I'll personally tell you that I had a coach for almost 9 months who helped me to look at my own weaknesses. So I discovered, because my parents went through a divorce when I was 8, and I had to go to Pakistan with my younger sisters, and I was only 8, and it was an experience in and of itself. But I didn't realize until I worked with this coach that I carried some childhood trauma from that age. So between the ages of 8 and 10, I had a neglected child syndrome.
What does that mean? How can you, like, how does that manifest in someone's life?
Well, every time, for example, someone said no, and it could have been, you can't have this, or you can't buy this car, or this. It almost felt like that child was being neglected or shoved to one side. Cognitively, I'm not aware of this, but subconsciously, my subconscious mind has registered that experience all those years ago, and the body never lies. So those emotions, those feelings would show up themselves. Not unless you're in this field, or not even unless you've experienced the work of a coach or a therapist. You don't know these things. It's not common knowledge as such. So I'd feel neglected for some of the smallest things, but it could be that sometimes I threw a tantrum of sorts, not really knowing where this came from. Even when I came back to the UK when I was 10, I remember my teenage years started. I didn't have any friends. My sister still stayed in Pakistan. I had to go to a language school to learn English again 'cause I had forgotten my English, and I was bullied at school. And I remember, feeling very withdrawn. So my social circle didn't even exist. Right, I didn't have my siblings with me. I had my father with me, and Allah bless his soul. He had his own ways of communication. So I felt totally neglected. So again, between this neglect and withdrawn, states, I didn't know these were playing out in my relationships, and that's not only my marriage, but also my children and colleagues and such. So you need somebody to work with you, So that's when I say that you have to raise your energy by doing the work. And with respect to marriage, if you want somebody up here, right, you have to do the work to get yourself up here as well. If that's what you expect, don't expect to get someone here when you're down here. So I hear often that someone wants a queen, right? And she's this and she's that, and she has everything perfect. She's a homemaker, and she's going to be, good with the in-laws and so on and so forth. But I'm weak. I don't really have the capacity myself to be able to handle those things, as a man. I don't have the emotional intelligence to be able to deal with perhaps the frequency, the friction that comes up, because of that. So we have to do the work to get to a level of what we expect. And the last one is no. You have to get to know the person you're going to spend potentially the rest of your life with. And what I feel on that, Brother Abi, is that sometimes people let their emotions come into the mix first before they really get to know someone. So what happens then is once they get to know the person and they have emotions in the mix, when the red flags show up, we tend to start making excuses for that person, right? And what will happen is we will ignore those red flags, and we will make excuses, and they will come back to bite us. So we have to have a process whereby we really take the time. We're ready now. We know ourselves. We've done the work, and we know the types of questions to ask. And I'll give you my own personal example. And this was before me and Victoria, my wife, got married. We spent 4 months. We was in a long distance relationship, 4 months, and we had no physical contact. So we only had this time to get to really know each other deeply. And I mean really deeply in terms of our likes, dislikes, aspirations. She did a check on me, I did a check on her, and so on and so forth. It was really, I think, very conducive, and it allowed us to really get to know the other person and make a very considered decision as well. And that's the most important thing, is to make those decisions that are considered rather than being emotionally involved. And that's it. You've kind of lost your way, so to speak.